Welcome back to Above the Grain. I'm Aaron Moore, and on today's episode, we're actually going to address an issue we had last night with a little bit of lacquer drying improperly. So we're going to get to that in a few minutes, but first I got a question for you. Do you work with these drop leaf supports for dining tables and the spring is broken? Well, today we're going to go through and show you how to replace this spring, and as I said, it's all from parts at Home Depot, so any of you can go and purchase it. So let's get to work on this little drop leaf table that I've already fixed earlier today. Okay, with these little supports, it's really important to put it on the right way. So you want the longer side towards the top. And I'm actually gonna have to replace the screws, which I normally don't like to do because the customer who started the project just mentioned that they lost it and they couldn't find the original screws for this one again. So we're gonna just replace them with some of the ones we have sitting around that are similar to the originals. And I said, these are what are gonna hold this table up in operation. So when it flips up, we'll show you in just a second. It's what keeps it from falling down when you're using it as a dining table. Let me just check the length of the screws. We're good. That's just what you need, is to put these holes right through the top of your dining table that you just restored. Bonus points, I may actually get a little bit of my touch-up kit and touch up these screws to have a little bit of that aged color to them, that tarnish, because I'm just a perfectionist and seeing these bright new screws would bug me. So you can see now that you could hear that spring operating and then it locks into place, so it's not going to fall open. So we're going to repeat that all around, all four of these. Then we could flip this table back on the ground and show it off, show you what it looks like, and hopefully it looks like a Haywood Wakefield piece. Okay, just getting that last screw in. I'm just going to test it. You can hear those springs operating well now. Latched into place, great. So now my OCD and perfection comes into play, and those screws really bug me. So I'm just going to mix up a little bit of this, the touch-up. Let's get a little bit of brown, a little touch of red, and a little touch of black. And this should give us kind of a rust color. I'm just going to come over here. Doesn't look like I haven't put enough powder in. It's not quite dark enough. Maybe I'll come back and do 2 passes on it. But you can see I said it's just enough to make a difference so it doesn't look like it is, bright, shiny new screws. It's the little steps like this that will kind of set you apart. All right, as you can kind of see, we have it down. We got it back on its feet. But now, without falling over, I'm going to start putting the leaves back in. The customer came this morning with that hardware, and she took one of the leaves. So I only have 4 leaves out of the 5. But it's still, you're going to see kind of how massive of a table this is. Impressed with this one. I didn't think we were going to be able to do it. I was actually a little concerned, but we just took it one step at a time, bleached it, stained it, tinted it. I kind of just followed all the steps in my, in my head, my years of practice. But now you can see this is right now already a 10-foot table, and it's going to go out another 12 to 15 inches by the time we put one more leaf in it. But yeah, I said all we have to do left is put the little brass feet on all the legs. We'll finish that up, and I said this will be ready to go. Before I show you the screw up that happened on these little end tables, I wanted to show off this credenza that we finished the top on. We just did the top. We only fixed up these rings, scratch marks, dents that it had. It even had like loose 45 miters on these corners. We glued all that back up. We fixed the bottom, which the 5th leg was damaged. It was broken. We fixed that and cleaned it up. It's going to go to Morgan over at Back Alley Finds. They're going to oil it up, clean up the base, clean up the sides, get it all rehydrated, and get it in their showroom over in Urban Americana. But I wanted to show you this before she picks it up because it really is an impressive, just a quick repair. It probably took us 2 to 3 hours to do the sanding and the refinishing on the top. And then I said it could have taken about another hour to clean up the base, but she wanted to save money because she's looking at having it resold. She's trying to maximize profits, and she just knew she couldn't fix the top. So I said we're going to move this, get it out of the way, and then we'll show you the damaged areas here on the top of these end tables. This is why I like to tell my customers, we either are going to strip it and do it all of ourselves, or else we're not going to do the job. With this one, it was already done. Like I had mentioned, we had done the work. The customer had done all the work. We were just here to do the finishing. But if you kind of look on the top, I've already fixed this one. But if you look at the side here, it's just got a little bit of a haze to it, kind of like either some oils or something happened. It could have been lemon oil, Howard's. Something was cleaned on these maybe a year ago, a week ago. I don't know much about it, but the stripper would have removed anything from the pores, where I just got it, we threw it in the booth, and this is what I get for doing that. So how I'm going to fix this is how I actually fixed this one. We lightly sanded it, cleaned it with my wax wash over from Mohawk, put it back in the spray booth. We quickly sprayed the top with a new coat of sealer with less retarder, and then we just shot a light bit of retarder on the exterior so it would get zero overspray from doing that. So I'm going to do that real quick on this one. Let me show you how. Now that I got the other one out of the way, just a light sanding is all it takes. And I don't even know why it does this. We've had the issues like this on a piece for my friend Jay. That's happened just last year. And then we get it on rosewood every so often because the chemicals or the oils in the rosewood seep out when I put a lot of retarder in the spray gun. But I said, I don't know why it did it on this burl maple or bird's eye maple, whatever this is. I just know we are here to fix it and try to correct the issue. So I said, doing that, quick sanding, wiping it down, because you can see this is the way it's supposed to look. It got hazy for some reason, only on the top though. The sides are fine, like there's none of that haze at all on the sides, strictly just the top, which like I said, just throws me throws a curveball. But after 20 years, we've kind of figured out how to fix these things when they happen, and that's a lot of it, is following the steps that we've trial and errored. We've had these issues, and I want to help you collapse time with these types of issues. So I said, I talked about it yesterday. That community we're going to start building, later here in the month. It's a free community on my school. I said, make sure to go click the link down below to subscribe to my email list and know when that launches. But I said we're gonna help you collapse time so you don't have these issues, and of course, when you do, you'll know how to get out of them. And I said that's what it's all about. So I got all the tools that I need for this repair, but first, quick tack cloth. I'm gonna wipe it down one last time, make sure that there's no dust on it or anything from sitting around the shop for the half a day that it's been. Then I already have the clear coat mixed in the gun. So what we're gonna use, super blush retarder. I'm gonna spray a little bit of this natural pine toner just to help out. I've noticed that it helps out just with the colorant and brings it back less blushy. So I think once it goes kind of blushes is when you start having the issues. So I'm gonna take this, turn the booth on. Take the retarder can, and you're going to see I'm going to spray it all around the perimeter of it. Perfect. So I'm going to let that dry up for just a little bit. It's really important to wear your mask with that retarder. It's super high in VOCs, and it'll give you a headache in a matter of minutes. It's really strong. But what we're going to do, let it dry, and then take it back out, and I said wipe it down. We should be good today. Let's get back to assembling more furniture. All right, we got the legs. Now let's just try to, I want to just set it aside first so I can see where the holes are. And make sure it looks like we're good. Just wanted to make sure they lined up properly, so they went back in the correct location. So do that first. And I said, actually, that one looks like it's off a little bit. So what we're gonna do, I'm gonna spin it around. It was off by maybe like a 1/16. So instead of trying to force it, now that I have both screws in, yeah, see, okay, there it goes, right back in. So I said, that's why it's really important to just come in here and try to do most of it by hand. You will rarely see me use a power drill on reassembly for that reason. I don't want to blow anything out. You know, more bonus points that if all of your screws line up when you're done, we try to do that as well. I bet sometimes we do forget, but we try to do it as, you know, as professionals. We want to make sure all the screws are the same direction. It just looks better. Okay, get that screw lined up. We'll flip it over. Make sure none of them poked through the top. As you saw, I didn't check the length like I normally do, but I took this apart so I knew that it was, you know, it wouldn't have been an issue. So I think we're good to go. This one's ready to go. If you know who this is, who designed this, let me know down in the comments below. Customer didn't know, and I'm just like, we'll just reach out to YouTube, see if anyone here knows who designed this beautiful, looks like Danish teak dining or little end table. It seems like it is assembly day. I mean, we were just talking about this yesterday, Ivan and I, you know, off camera, that it seems like we do a bunch of work, it doesn't feel like we get anything done, and then all of a sudden, half the shop is full of finished furniture. I don't like operating that way, but it just seems like that's what's been happening lately. We're gonna, you know, now we're gonna redo this base. It had a little bit of glue on it when we took it apart, so we're just gonna put another little drip of glue on it. Of course, I'm using Boss Dog glue. And I said they are a small business, small operation, and this stuff works like Titebond, but it has benefits that I haven't seen with Titebond. So I said I started using it, you know, full time here in the shop. So we're gonna get a little bead of that. Let me see which way this goes. Just like that. And then I'll grab the screws because we have them all labeled, just like you see me do. We label everything so we know that these 4 screws go back in this base. So if my fingers want to work today. All right, I think I did get the wrong hole. You know, sometimes that happens, right guys? Sometimes it just, you put it in the wrong hole. But there we go. Now we got it. Now we're not making new holes, so we, you know, I don't want to ruin it, and we want it to go back in the same exact position. So these pedestals are kind of difficult because these holes are so, like, they're close together. And like I said, it's just, we want to get it down tight enough that that glue grabs, gets a new bond, because it's going to put a lot of weight on this single pedestal. So if it's just the screws, it's very likely to like crack over time and get loose. And so we don't want that. We don't want it to break on the customer after we've done all the restorations on it. Like I always say, we label everything. We even put stamps on the bottom so we know where number 1 and number 2 was, because I've seen it on some occasions when you're reapplying leaves like this, the drop leaves, they could be off by a fraction of an inch. I mean, a 16th or an 1/8, and then it'll end up sticking off the edge and not be perfectly square. I've seen that from time to time, so I'd rather just put it right back in the same location, knowing, like I said, that's the way it came off. Then we have, you know, our labels on here. You know, leaf number 2, which is this side, leaf number 1 on that side. Now we know all the screws go to this location, the hinges. On doors, you'll see us labeling each hinge. This, not as big of a deal, but yes, it's, you know, if you really want to be OCD, you can label 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 if you really wanted to. But I said they just go back, and let's see. Figure out which. Usually they go this way, put the hinge down inside, but kind of weird because they have a, yeah, see that one's there. Yeah, strange. Just that one feels a little weird. Let me just see. Yeah, they are a little strange. Let me see what here's going on first. So look at that. So the countersink is in different locations, but they're set up the same way. That's really strange. Let me see. There, we'll see what it does. My guess is that you could see here, this side has got a little bit of rust showing, which is going to be right here, and this side is on the flat surface to the, you know, to the table itself. They came through, put it in upside down like that, because that's the way it functions, so it spins down like this, you know, that, you know, in that direction. But somebody had put some stain on it, so maybe they lost hinges, or somebody from the factory screwed up and just put these on. Kind of, I said, I have not seen that. That's why I was very confused. Something didn't look right. Yeah, something didn't look right. And now I have to be the one to figure it out. And for the reason why you're watching this video, it's how to repair these drop leaf supports. You take it from this. So I said you could see it's missing the spring altogether. So how you fix that, really important. If you had a vise, that would make it a lot easier to have something hard to head tap it on. But you could use just the concrete floor if you really want to. But I'm going to come in here, tap these little clips open just a little bit. You can see that there's still a little bit of a spring still sitting right there. We're going to take this, tap this down. This is old metal, so you're going to have to be careful when you're doing these things. But now you can see that old spring just fell right out. Then I picked up these little extension springs. Let me grab the box. Let me find it. Looks like this from Home Depot. You said you could buy the right size exactly. You probably buy it online. But I said I bought these ones because I needed them today at Home Depot. So I said you want the extension springs because they're going to give the counter pressure that you need to keep these keep these guys tight. Let me see if I can get my finger in here. There we go. So it makes it, these are a little bit more difficult to get in. You put it in like that. Now your spring is attached. You're going to come back with the nail set or whatever you have. A screwdriver would work too. And then just tap it back down, and that's going to lock those springs into place. And now you can take it, you could hear it. Now it's not flopping everywhere. Once it goes back in the table, this is going to keep it so that way when somebody leans on that drop leaf, it doesn't just fall down and smash and drop your dinner plate, whatever's on your table. I've seen it happen. I've seen customers complain, and then they call me to fix it. So we're going to clean these a little bit with WD-40 just to get some of the dirt off of them and just lubricate it so it doesn't squeak or make noise, and then we'll get them attached to this table. Now you can see this 1940s drop leaf walnut table is done, and we've made it look like a brown mahogany, which is what the customer has in their home. And once again, let me just show you how those pieces work. Right now, these aren't going to fall down. Without those springs, this would, if you touched it, it would just fall straight down like that. So you can even hear those springs, and then it locks back into place. No one's going to, it's not going to fall down now. It's a really nice table. Let me pop it back down too, because it goes fairly small. And I said it'll drop down. Oh, there we go. It drops down nicely, so you could have it as like an end table, entry table, and then move it out, and you could use it as a game table, even like doing puzzles, things, things along that nature. I said we cleaned up the feet. We did not polish them. The customer wanted to leave it that original tarnish. Same thing there. We cleaned it with a little bit of WD-40, wiped the dirt off, hydrated it. That WD-40 is going to give a protective layer and keep it from tarnishing and getting dirtier, as quick. And I said we're going to call the customer, send them some pictures right now, and let them know the table's ready. The first thing we have to do is clean up this aluminum, get it back to that brushed aluminum look. There's a lot of scratch marks, a small dent on it. So what we're going to do, start a little heavier grit, and we're going to slowly work with the I call it with the grain, but just the way that it was from the factory, and just start working my way down to start knocking off all of that tarnish and getting us into that fresh aluminum. Then we can kind of work from there. You can see like the aluminum starting to build up, like the tarnish or the dirt on it. And you see I said, luckily aluminum is a softer metal. You can see we've already sanded that little high spot down. But we're gonna, as I said, this is gonna take a little bit of work to get it back down. We're gonna work it through the numbers, 150, 220, 320, probably 400, and then we'll polish it up with a little bit of steel wool. So we'll do this, start working our way down, get it looking good, and then we could show you kind of the before and after. These metal frames on the side of that desk are a lot harder to sand than expected. It looks like it has some sort of clear coat on it, but we have to get through that to get down to the scratches in the metal. So we'll jump back on this tomorrow. We'll put this back on here, clean the screws, and get those glass legs and the glass top, which you saw us repaint the glass top with the black square. We're going to put that back on. We'll get it probably assembled tomorrow, and then jump in that Jorge Zalzabin piece it's going to get in the spray booth. Once again, if you've learned something new, especially that new little trick with those drop leaves and the springs, make sure to hit the subscribe button, and we'll see you guys tomorrow.